Come. Here. Split her open.
When you stab someone, they leak to death.
For another
Twisted
tangent.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Twisted Tangents. My name is Tom
I'm Bonnie.
and tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be doing a cult or a conspiracy theory or aliens or ghosts or serial killers or anything like that. This does end in murder, so don't worry if you're only here for murder. We've got some moira right at the end. So you got to go through all of it to get to the moira, but it's okay. It's an interesting story. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll have seen that we put up a photo today of a crossroads and a man with a guitar. So do you know what the man with the guitar at the crossroads is?
Mr. Robert Johnson.
The one and only. So there's a lot of this is kind of where the selling soul to the devil myth kind of started, and it's a very popular myth, especially within the music community for some reason. I don't know why, but apparently it's just a popular thing that everyone wants to sell their soul to the devil to become the next greatest musician. So this is kind of where the story originated from. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. This is the actual story of what actually happened, and I don't know if it's the start of the 27 Club. If you've heard of the 27 Club, this may be I don't know if it's the exact start, the first person in there, but he's definitely in the 27 Club. So that's another thing that you can add to this story.
For those of you who don't know what the 27 Club is, it's a whole bunch of musicians who died at the age of 27.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a whole bunch of people in there. You got Jim Morrison from The Doors, Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, Brian Jones, Robert Johnson. If you jump onto Google and you look up the 27 Club, it's a very long list of musicians. So,
Can I join? I'm fucking exhausted.
Well, actually, when I was back in the day when I was in bands, I was always had this thing of I'm going to be in the 27 Club. And I'm now 27 years old.
Saying here you are.
Here I am at 27 doing podcasts instead. So hopefully this is a safe medium where I won't actually die.
Yes, well, it's not a very sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of lifestyle.
Well, no, it's not. But hey, look, anything's possible. It's still an audio format. Does that count? Does that count for something?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I might have missed out on joining the 27 Club. I've still got a few more months left. I got till January. So that's enough for that. Let's get straight into the story of Robert Johnson, possibly the greatest blues guitarist, certainly of his time. So he was born on or around the 8th of May in 1911 in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. Mississippi? That's a great... What a start.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It's late. I'm tired.
Oh, preaching the choir, sister.
It was a big day at work. Let's try this again. Now, before I jump back into it, information on Robert Johnson is very hard to come by. I don't know whether it's just because of the time that he was alive or what it was, but finding reliable sources is very difficult. So, yeah, let's jump straight in here. Born on or around the 8th of May, 1911 in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, to Julia Dodds and Noah Johnson. Robert Lee Johnson had 10 older siblings.
Fucking hell.
All of who were born in wedlock, with Julia being married to Charles Dodds. So, all of those 10 older siblings were his half-siblings. Not full.
Yeah, right.
Because Charles was a wealthy carpenter and farmer who was rather well off, which did not sit well for some of the white residents of Hazelhurst. Being Mississippi, very big KKK movement, and if a white person in the KKK sees a wealthy black person, it's time for a lynch mob.
Just any black person,
Basically.
really.
Yeah. But Charles probably was, slightly more hated than some of the other black people who just worked the plantations.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And because of this, Charles was forced to Memphis to escape from a lynch mob. So he was actually chased by a lynch mob out of town.
Yeah, right.
Full Hollywood style. They chased him out of town, literally. So this left Julia destitute, and she got with a lumber mill worker called Noah Johnson, and this is when Robert was born. When Robert was around 3 or 4 years old, he was sent to Memphis to live with Charles, who was also in the care of all 10 children. Now that would have been a fun household.
Yeah, it's a bit shit.
That would have been great, wouldn't it?
Well, I
11
know,
children.
I know what it's like looking after 2, and that's pretty shit ass.
Yeah, no, let's add another 9 onto that.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
and
thanks, I'm fine.
especially those times because houses were a hell of a lot smaller. Like you're only looking at probably a 2-bedroom little shack
Yeah.
kind of thing. There is a documentary on Netflix about Robert Johnson, Devil at the Crossroads, I think it's called. And in it, they actually visit the house where they believe Robert Johnson was born. And somehow it's still standing. But it is a very, very, very small house. It's a granny flat, let's be honest. It's probably the size of a granny flat. And that might be being generous.
Mm.
So that's that's the housing situation. So Robert spent most of his early childhood growing up in Memphis, and this is where he first learned how to play guitar from one of his older brothers. When Robert was around 9 years old, he moved back to the Delta to live with his mother and her new husband, a sharecropper called Dusty Willis, where he was then known as Little Robert Dusty. Cute little nickname there. Instead of working in the fields, Robert was much more interested in playing the guitar, which caused a lot of friction between him and his stepfather, who would often beat him for not working in the fields. Robert would take his guitar to the fields and play in hopes of earning a nickel or dime. So this is a time where all of the black people are working in the cotton fields, picking their cotton, and instead of actually working, he just wanted to play guitar. Which, to be fair, I don't blame him. I'd probably want to play guitar over picking cotton.
I can see why he got his ass beat, though.
But yeah, he would very regularly, like I believe on a daily basis, he would get beaten by his stepfather. And most of the population of Hazelhurst were Christians, and to them, blues music was the devil's music. And on Sunday morning, they would all go to church, but the preacher wouldn't be making any money. All the men would be at the juke joint the night before, spending all of their money dancing to blues music. Only the women and children would be at church on a Sunday morning. The juke joint would be making all of the money. The preachers would say you're going to hell for listening to that music. And that's where it all started. From the preachers. Someone got hurt at the juke joint. Someone was stabbed. Something happened there. That's the devil's music. Women would then take that message of the blues music being the devil's music. They would take that back to their husbands to guilt them into going back to church. So then they wouldn't go to hell for listening to blues music.
We don't listen to blues music. Blues music is the devil.
Yeah. And like imagine these people. Imagine if they were living or if they heard today's music, if they just heard some of the music that gets played today, they would think the blues music is very tame and the music of God. Because it gets a lot worse than the blues. Like, imagine if they listened to, like, Swedish black metal or something. I wonder what they would make of black metal. Or some pop music. Now, pop music, I believe that could be the devil's music. That I can get behind. Because that is some god-awful stuff. But blues, come on. So, by the time he was 18, Robert married Virginia Travis on the 17th of February 1929 in Penton, Mississippi. She was 15 years old. After they lied about their ages. Because that's apparently a thing that you do. You want to get married but you're underage, just lie and get hitched anyway. Virginia's family were also very, very religious. So Robert promised he would put down his guitar and work in the plantation. Soon after, Virginia became pregnant. And when she was 8.5 months pregnant, she left to give birth with her grandmother. Robert then took this opportunity to start playing the guitar again. Robert decided to play all along the Mississippi River at old venues, up along Highway 1, and arrive in time to see his wife and their new child. Unfortunately, he didn't arrive in time, and Virginia passed away in April of 1930 as she was giving birth. By the time Robert arrived, Virginia and their baby were both buried. Virginia's family blamed Robert for her death because he played the devil's music.
Oh, mate, that's a bit fucking rough.
But that's the thing. Everything bad that happens around someone that plays blues music or listens to blues music, anything at all that happens that is bad, gets attributed to the devil's music. In July of 1930, Son House, who some believe is the godfather of the Delta Blues, moved to Robbinsville, where Robert first heard him play. Robert would learn to play the guitar from House and his friend Willie Brown. He would watch them play at the juke joints and juke houses, and when they took a break, he would pick up one of their guitars and start playing. Now I'm going to play a short little clip here. This is Son House talking about Robert Johnson when he would follow House and Brown around.
I liked him because when he started out, we was living not 2 miles apart. He was at home with his mother and father, a place called Robertsonville, Mississippi. But he'd follow me and Willie around on Saturday night, Willie Brown. And every time we stopped for rest and sit at a little guitar over in the corner or something and go out to catch air, get the guitar and be trying to play it and be just noising the people, And the folks would come out and say, why don't some of y'all go in there and make that boy get that thing down, he's running us crazy.
So after this, Robert left the Delta for around 6 or 7 months. No one knew where he went, but when he came back, he was one of the greatest blues guitarists in the world. He walked into a juke joint where Son House and Willie Brown were playing and asked them if he could play something. He had added a 7th string to his guitar, which gave him a very unique sound. After initial hesitation from Son House, he let Robert show him what he had learned while he was away. When he started to play, they just stood there with their mouths open, said, "Now ain't that fast?" Everyone now loved Robert Johnson. He went from everyone telling him to stop to everyone dancing. He was doing stuff with a guitar that not even Son House and Willie Brown could do. It was from this fast turnaround of skill that the myths surrounding Robert Johnson began. So he's gone from everyone begging him to stop playing guitar, to put it down, because they're all going to be run out from his noise, to everyone wanting him to play.
Maybe he just practiced.
Well,
Fuck.
we're going to get into that. As the myth goes, Robert went to the crossroads. He dropped to his knees and handed his guitar to the devil. The devil tuned his guitar, and before he handed it back to Robert, he said, "Be you angels?"
I was thinking the exact same thing.
I couldn't help it. I had to. He didn't actually say that.
No, he said, "Nay, I am but man."
That's what Robert said to him.
Yeah.
What the devil said to Robert is,
Once you receive this guitar back, your soul is mine. Do you want it?
No thanks, I'm fine.
yeah, look, I've thought about it, and an eternity in hell is not worth it.
I'm just not really ready for a commitment right now. Like, I just got out of a really big relationship.
My wife and baby just died, so I just need a little time. If you could come back, that'd be great. Thanks. So obviously, Robert grabbed the guitar and sold his soul to the devil. To further perpetuate the myth that Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads, a lot of his lyrics use devil-like imagery.
Because he probably just thought, well, they're already telling me I'm playing the devil's music, so fucking when in Rome, woo.
Yeah, why not? Two of his songs, Hellhounds on My Tail and Me and the Devil Was Walking Side by Side. People took that and went, yeah, he definitely sold his soul to the devil. 100%. He's got those songs.
Talk about fucking jumping to conclusions.
I mean, ignore all of his other songs.
Yeah, every single other one.
Let's just take these couple of songs and we'll use them to show that we're right. Because this was obviously a time of slavery. This is like rationalizing everything. Because it was a time of slavery, some of the lyrics that sound like they're about the devil or hellhounds are in fact more likely about the conditions in which Robert lived. In the song Hellhounds on My Tail, he sings a line about sprinkling hot powder at his door. African Americans refer to sprinkling hot powder as a means to escape bloodhounds, which were used by lynch mobs, which is not too dissimilar to the lynch mob that ran Charles Dodds out of town. So when you think about it like that, when you find the imagery and then you can directly bring that back into reality, did he sell his soul?
It's just like when you're doing an English essay and the teacher just goes, I'm pretty sure this is the imagery they were going for. And it's like, the curtains weren't just blue. They symbolized his, like,
oh my God,
deep depression and anxiety. And you're like, dude, the fucking curtains were just blue. Get a grip.
And I do a lot of writing. And I used to do a hell of a lot of writing years ago. Did a lot more back then. But when I was describing a room in a story and I put in blue curtains, I put them in because that was the colour I happened to think of. It wasn't to represent the sky because someone's trapped inside the house and the blue curtains are representing the sky that they want to be able to get outside because they've got fucking... What is it where you can't leave your house?
Agoraphobia.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. That's not why I put blue curtains in. I'd put blue curtains in because it's the fucking colour I happen to think of because I looked around my room and saw, oh, that thing's blue. Blue curtains. Thanks. Random object I looked at with the colour blue.
Stop using the devil as a scapegoat because you're being treated like a piece of shit.
And how do you think the devil feels?
I know, he's just chilling in hell being like, guys, you're giving me a really bad rap right now and I don't appreciate it.
He's already had to go through the shit of trying to stand up to God and God going, listen, this is not going to work out. I'm going to send you to a place it's just you. Alright? I can't deal with you anymore. Get the fuck out of heaven.
He's
I've
like,
created a realm for you.
he's like, read the satanic rules. I'm a fucking nice guy.
Yeah. He was just standing up for people, and God didn't like that because God's a dick. He doesn't like it. It's his way. Or get the fuck out. Go to hell. Man, I'm going to hell. That's where the party's going to be at.
True.
Fuck heaven. I don't want to go there. I want hell. I want some good rock and roll music.
If you
Oh,
go to
blues.
hell for everything that apparently all these Christians preach about, I'm going to get down there and Satan is going to give me a fucking crown and worship me like his queen. Mate, seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, heaven doesn't sound like a fun place. It sounds real boring and dull. You can't do anything. You probably can't swear. I'd walk up to the fucking pearly gates. Fucking Saint, what's his face would be there? Peter. Paul, yeah. He'd be there. And I'd be like, fuck's going on? Bang, I'd be gone. See you later. So, I would not last very long.
Anywho,
moving right along, the most likely story behind how Robert Johnson became the greatest blues guitarist of his time and went on to be the inspiration for blues guitarists to come, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, literally every blues guitarist would liken Robert Johnson as a inspiration, and rock and roll for that matter, is that when he left the Delta, he went back to Hazelhurst to find his father, Noah Johnson. While he was searching for his father, he met Ike Zimmerman, who was known throughout the Mississippi as being the greatest guitarist there was. Now, the story goes that Robert and Ike would frequent the cemetery across the road from Ike's home, 3 miles south of Hazelhurst. Whilst they were there, they would practice. Ike said to Robert, "I don't care how bad you are. Out here, no one's going to complain."
that's fair.
I love it. It's great. And they're playing in a cemetery, which is just fucking amazing. Ike said the best way to learn how to play was to sit on a gravestone at midnight. Then the ghosts would come out and teach you to play the blues. During these midnight sessions, Ike taught Robert everything he knew about playing the guitar. More than likely it was these lessons and Robert's hard work that made him the guitarist he eventually became. But playing at midnight in a cemetery certainly helped the myth that he sold his soul to the devil. That's a pretty badass way to learn guitar.
Mate, we got our fucking wedding photos taken to a cemetery. Didn't mean shit.
We sold our soul to the devil.
Well, if we did, we didn't get anything fucking good in
Yeah.
return.
Yeah, that's a bit shit. I want something back. I want something.
I want a house.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
And lots of money for more tattoos.
I want to be good at podcasting. It'd be nice. So a part of Robert still wanted to have a normal life. A family, wife and child. He met a girl called Virgie Kane, and she became pregnant.
Virgie.
Look, names were very different back in the 1900s, okay? There is some... Just it is, okay?
Sounds like the drag queen, Miss Vanjie.
It does a bit. Virgie, yeah.
Vanjie.
Anyway, she got knocked up. Virgie was a schoolgirl.
Oh.
Look, it's very different, okay?
I don't care.
The times are different, okay? Bob Dylan would later put it into a song. These times, they are a-changin'. Thank Christ for that, because this is just... It's a different time, okay?
Yeah.
So Virgie was a schoolgirl, and Robert constantly tried to get her to marry him.
Well,
He
at
wanted
least
to-
he was doing the right
He was
thing.
doing the right thing. But he wanted to take her away from where she lived, from her family and everything. But she was from a very religious family, and they wouldn't allow her to go with him because he played the blues.
Oh, for
he
fuck's
played
sake.
the devil's music. Yeah. Yeah, literally everything comes down to because you
I'm
play the
seeing a
devil's music.
recurring theme here.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of shit is going down in Robert's life. When he was around 7 years old, Robert's son Claude was living with his grandparents. He was looking out the window and he saw his father, Robert Johnson, walk up to the house to see his son. His granddad walked out. So, Robert's father walked out. No, I believe it might have been Virgie's dad. Yep, thank you. He walked out there to meet Robert because he didn't want his grandchild to be associated with the devil's music. Literally everything's coming down to no one wants to be associated with the devil's music. Literally everything. So instead, Robert handed him some money for Claude and left. And this would be the last time Claude would ever see his father. With constant tragedy throughout his life, Robert dedicated his entire life to his music, alcohol, women, and blaspheming.
Sounds good, honestly.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
sounds like a pretty solid life. He lost his ability to care about anything other than his music. And to be perfectly honest, can you blame him when everything that happens in his life that is bad, and there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening in his life, everyone blames him for everything because he plays the devil's music, because he plays blues. Blues started in the fields. It didn't start in the church or anywhere. The blues started in the fields because of the way that these black people were living, the lives that they led were fucking shit. And that spawned blues music. They sang about what they knew. And what they knew was heartache and working for the man and lynch mobs being chased out of towns. That's all they knew. They didn't know anything else. They were born into this kind of a situation. So of course they're going to be singing this kind of music. They're not going to be singing fucking Sunshine Lollipops. They're going to be singing soulful music. So in 1938, Robert got the wife of one of the workers at a juke joint. After completely disrespecting the woman's husband, he ordered a bottle of whiskey. When the bottle was given to Robert, the seal was already broken. Someone tried to slap the bottle out of Robert's hand, telling him you never drink from a bottle with a broken seal. To which Robert replied, "Don't you ever slap another $7 bottle of whiskey out of my hand." The bottle had been tainted with some form of poison. People kept trying to give Robert more whiskey so he could get back up on stage and keep playing. But he was slumped down on a chair and wasn't able to move. That night, he was on his hands and knees, howling like a wolf from the pain. After the 2 or 3 days, Robert Lee Johnson died from the poisoned whiskey at the age of 27. The man that poisoned Robert Johnson was never arrested for the murder, and no one pushed for an arrest because Robert Johnson played the devil's music.
I feel like just from hearing the story of his life and the fact that he died at 27, I feel like a lot fucking happened in 27 years. Like, could you imagine going through all of that in your lifetime leading up to now?
That's a lot. That is a lot. And I think that's why he spiraled so far out of control, is because all of this stuff has happened to him in such a short amount of time.
Like, just hearing that, if you didn't know he died at 27, you'd think he died at like 60.
Yeah,
and that was like a massive lifetime of shit.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got to also take into account that a lot of these major events will happen when they're quite young. Nowadays, on average, you know, you're still living it up when you're in your early 20s, mid-20s. Some people are still living it up. And they're going to be living it up until they're fucking 78 years old anyway.
And then there's us.
And then you got other people in their mid-20s that decide to have children and say, fuck sleep, I don't need sleep. What do I need sleep for? I've got children.
And get married because you're like, fuck freedom. I
Yeah,
don't
you
need
get
freedom.
hitched, go, oh, we've already fucked this up, let's just keep going. But like, back in the early 1900s, they would get married a hell of a lot sooner. They'd be married, some people would be married when they're 15 odd years old. So that wouldn't happen nowadays. Not here anyway. I know it happens overseas, but not here. So, but this is just the way that it was back then. So, in his 27 years of living, Robert managed to record 29 songs during his career and went down as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Had it not been for Robert Johnson, music could be very, very, very different. He was the backbone for modern blues and rock and roll. Without Robert Johnson, there may not have been an Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Because Elvis's music is very much based upon Robert Johnson. The main, when you think blues music, a lot of people think of like that bum ba-dum ba-da kind of vibe to music. That wasn't a thing until Robert Johnson came along. He created that. That was a very Robert Johnson thing, and now it's just we don't think about it as a special thing because we've all heard it 1,000,001 times. But back then, that was revolutionary. That was a whole new world of stuff. So he'd mix that in with he'd play the slide. So it sounded like there were 2 or 3 different guitarists playing, and then Robert's voice over the top of that. And you'd think, oh yeah, this is like a 3 or 4 piece band, but it was just one man up on stage playing by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. A very sad life. A lot of tragedy. But look, it is what it is. He made the 27 Club. Kudos to him for that, I guess, if there's anything to take away from this. And, I mean, changing music forever.
Yeah.
And selling your soul to the devil.
Apparently.
I'd do it.
Allegedly.
I'd sell my soul to the devil. If the devil's listening, you can have my soul.
I'm always open. Hi.
Yeah.
Have your people call my people.
Yeah. Make
If
me
you've-
rich.
If you've got Netflix, watch the documentary.
Yes, I believe it's called Devil at the Crossroads. It is amazing, and it actually has a lot of people that are descendants of Robert Johnson, and there's a couple of interviews from people that knew him personally. So it's a very interesting documentary to watch. And that's kind of where I got a lot of the information for this episode was from that, and also the Robert Johnson Museum website.
And also, if you haven't seen it, kind of like an ode or a nod, go and watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Fantastic movie, and he features.
Yes, kind of. Although he's Tommy Johnson in the movie instead of Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
And he doesn't die at 27, I don't think.
But you know what they're talking about anyway.
I can't remember what actually happens to him in that movie. What happens to him? We watched it the other night.
He lives.
He just lives, doesn't he? He doesn't die.
Don't spoil it.
I can't remember.
Spoiler alert, even though it's been out for years and years and years.
Yeah,
anyway,
if you haven't watched it, I don't care about spoiling it.
get on it because it's awesome.
Yeah. So, anything else we need to talk about before we end this episode here?
No.
Jump onto jump onto our Instagram page and give us a follow. Shoot us a message if you want, or leave a comment on one of our posts. Our DMs are always open.
Tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah, we
If you have any topics you'd like us to cover, let us know.
I do have a list of 100.
Yeah, we have a massive fucking
topics.
list, but I mean,
Yeah,
if you have
Anything
anything
specific.
specifically you want to hear, let us know.
yeah,
Because we'll gladly talk crap about it.
Yeah, and we're now, if you've got any recommendations on books, because that's the one thing I'm finding the hardest when looking up stuff is finding a reliable source of information. I genuinely don't know how these other podcasts do it, because there's some books that you read and you're like, look, I feel as though that's fucking bullshit, because it directly contradicts interviews with the person involved. Because we were going to be doing an episode upon Joseph Fritzl, and the book that I read directly contradicted interviews with him. So I stopped, and we didn't do that episode. That episode would have already been done and out by now, but I was like, I don't trust this book.
We will do it again. We're just not going to read that book anymore.
Yeah, no, that book was just terrible. That was Monster by Alan Hall. It was written like straight after he was found, so there's no time between the actual, the crime being brought out into the public and when he's released his book. He just threw some words down onto the page and went, there we go, there's a book. I will take my paycheck. Thank you very much. See you later. Good thanks. So with that all being said, jump onto our Instagram and Twitter as well. Hit us up on those two. We might relaunch our Facebook page. If you want us to do Facebook, let us know. Yeah, that one's on you because I don't use Facebook anymore. Sucked in. But then again, I'm already doing both Instagram and Twitter. So
Sucked in.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair call. And with that, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well done. Thanks. You need sleep.
I know.
I need sleep.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I've been Tom.
And I'm always Bonnie.
I might change my name one day. I'm not sure. So.
Oh no, most of the time I'm Mom.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Thank you very much, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.